media to share them. We will be updating those sites continuously. And again, we continue to support peaceful, lawful efforts to draw attention to the need for racial equity in our city and our country. To that end, I'd now like to have Vincent James, our Chief for Community Building, share with us some of the efforts his office have made toward that goal. Chief James.
Thank you, Mayor. And I also would like to thank the citizens of Louisville, because over these past several months, we've seen some incredible feats as it relates to peaceful protest. People having the capacity and the ability to be able to express their First Amendment right. And I want to thank each and every citizen for doing so. I want to also share with you a couple things that are happening and has been happening out of the Office for Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods, which is one of the agencies that reports to me. Again, my name is Vincent James. I'm the Chief of Community Building. And one of the things we've been working with as it relates to the faith community, which we feel is an integral part, the community, which is an integral part to the working of our city, and to be able to share and have the moral authority in their voice and their speaking, and to be able to understand this peace that surpasses all understanding. And so with that, one of the things, as we started meeting with several interfaith groups, we started an initiative called Louisville Prays. This initiative is a multi-faith prayer initiative conceived by our city, and with the city, as we await the decision that is going to be made, we wanted to ensure that all of us had an opportunity to be able to express how we felt through prayer, through meditation, through chants, through other things as it relates to your individual faith tradition. This series is co-sponsored by Interfaith, those who Interfaith Pathway to Peace, and also CIR, and that is the Center for Interfaith Relations. It kicked off yesterday at 12:30 at the Big Ford Bridge, which was very impactful because the waterfront gave us an opportunity to be able to pray peacefully by the riverfront. And as we continue, we have a group of faith leaders that have decided, as they've been working with protesters, engaging in the protests themselves, also put together a de-escalation team. These faith leaders have been trained in de-escalation to where they can continue to help to keep the peace, where they can intervene in those times that things may seem to be getting out of hand. They have an opportunity to be able to communicate and work with our citizens to be able to ensure the safety that is needed. We also have an opportunity to be able to share with every house of faith in this city. Many houses of faith have already signed up to where they are simply going to open their doors once the announcement is made. We don't know what the announcement is going to be, but we do know this. There are going to be people who are going to be upset for whatever reason. There are going to be some people who don't have any feelings at all. There's going to be people who don't even know how to process what they've heard. And so we are asking houses of faith to open their doors on tonight to give opportunity for the community to come in and to be able to pray, to be able to sit in silence, whatever they may need, at least an hour, to give them an opportunity. Events and different things that are going to be happening throughout our city as we engage our community, and how we recognize and we are going to realize that this will be a defining moment for our city. And in this defining moment, truth will come forth. And when truth arises, we all rise. And so we are encouraged by what we've seen so far, the display of our citizens and their peaceful protest. And we're looking forward in terms of what we're going to be doing in the coming days. Thank you so much for your attention. I'll now turn it back over to the mayor.
Thank you, Reverend James. Appreciate you. With that, we'll now be happy to take a few minutes of questions for any speakers.
Okay. Again, I invite media to put your questions in the chat area, and we will get to as many as we can. The first question is from Marcus Green from WDRB, and this question is for Chief Schroeder. What specific local, state, and federal agencies are assisting LMPD?
So we have a variety of agencies helping us, including the Kentucky State Police, many of our local partner agencies, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, St. Matthews Police Department, Jeffersontown Police Department, and a variety of other local agencies. We have a variety of federal partners on hand, including the FBI, ATF, Federal Protective Services, and many others to help us out. The National Guard will be assisting us. I do not have the exact number of the soldiers with me right now, but that is something we may be able to get later.
Chief, while you're there, Ryan Van Velser of WFPL has asked, has the National Guard been activated? How many members will be here? Are federal security forces in town, and what do you know about them?
Yes, the National Guard has been activated again. I don't have the exact number with me, but we can get that information to you. And we do have a variety of federal partners in federal protective service.
Also, Chief, from Steve Bittenbender from the Center Square, regardless of the grand jury's decision, will that report give the administration the information it needs to make personnel decisions on the remaining officers involved in the case? If not, what else does the city need, and how long do you anticipate that to take?
We don't know what the opinion will be of the courts. We don't know what information they have that we may not have. They did their own investigation subsequent to our investigation. As far as next steps, I'd like to introduce Major Jamie Schwab, the commander of our Special Investigations Division, to describe the next steps of the process.
Thank you, Chief. Major Jamie Schwab with our Special Investigations Division. Our Professional Standards Unit has received the case, and at this point in time, they can really only do background work related to it until we actually have a ruling or a decision by the grand jury. At that point in time, depending on that, one of the biggest things we're going to need to do as part of our interview. So that will be time consuming. I don't want to necessarily put an exact time frame on how long that will take. And again, a lot of that is dependent on what occurs today after the decision is made.
Chief Schroeder, why are working media not allowed to drive their work vehicles into the city's restricted
Area, if you mean the area immediately adjacent to Jefferson Square Park, that area is restricted to all vehicular traffic, and that is to assure both the safety of the people in the vehicles and to any pedestrians that may be gathered there. And that applies to anybody who is not an emergency service person, an EMS person, a firefighter, or somebody who has a legitimate safety need to be there. It is a restriction on all vehicular traffic.
Thank you. And for the mayor, Lucas Allback from the Courier-Journal asked, how much contact have you had with Cameron or his office in the past few days in the lead up to today's announcement?
Not an extensive amount. As I mentioned, I talked to him late this morning where they gave us the notice that they would be having an announcement at 1:30 today. So they've been deliberating and going through their process. As he said many times, they've been wanting to take the time that was required for their process to work itself out.
Also for you, Mayor, Ryan Van Velser from WFPL asked, what is your reaction to allegations that roadblocks and curfews downtown are infringing on people's First Amendment rights? Protesters say it feels like a trap. Last time there was a curfew, peaceful protesters were tear gassed.
No, the purpose of the precautions that have been put in place have been to protect protesters and to make sure that there's areas that are set aside for peaceable protests. So that's based on what was learned during a large set of protests in late May, early June. That's why LMPD took the move starting yesterday.
This, I think, is for the chief or maybe the mayor. Brian Woolston from Reuters is asking us to clarify that the media is excluded from the curfew.
It is my understanding that members of the media conducting their lawful media duties are excluded from the curfew.
Okay, are there any other questions? All right. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
There's today. And again, we don't know what today or tomorrow is going to bring us, but we all obviously have a choice on how we're going to. I urge everybody to choose peaceful and lawful protest. This is obviously a really important time for our city. I want us to think about our kids and our grandkids and getting this right. And we know that we here in Louisville, just like everybody in America, has got a lot of work to do to become a place of racial equity and justice. And to create that transformation, we know that we've got to come together, and we've got to ensure that everybody has the chance to both be heard, a time for healing, and a time for action as well. So my hope is that we enter into this next stage in this process of justice. We also begin the next steps in the process of healing our great city together. Thank you for joining us today.